Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, we've tried to give CNN the benefit of the doubt at least a little bit after Chris Litch took over, and to a certain extent, they deserved credit in certain cases, but ultimately the conclusion at the end was that it just simply wasn't enough. It was too little too late. Here's the thing with CNN, you know, I kind of feel bad for Chris Litch. I don't think he's a bad person, I think he's really trying to do the right thing, but the problem is the body is too infected. The CNN body is infected by Clinton operatives. And of course, the woke mind virus. The CNN body has been so deeply corrupted that at this point for Chris Litch, I think he's realizing that he's in over his head. CNN is in complete chaos, complete disarray as somewhat of a mutiny is taking place. It's not just Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the rest of the woke blue Twitter fanatics throwing a fit over the CNN town hall. The same thing is happening internally at the network. It feels as though the offices at CNN have become a giant daycare center. Chris Litch is the babysitter. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. The headline alone I'm going to show you here is satisfying to say the least. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So the CNN Trump town hall happened, and then of course the reaction from employees was as expected.
Why are you crying?
And now all hell is breaking loose. We've got this piece from Trending Politics. Report, CNN boss put, quote, the fear of God in Oliver Darcy after his meltdown over Trump town hall. CNN reporter Oliver Darcy was visibly shaken after being scolded by new boss Chris Litch, who characterized Darcy's coverage of the network's Trump town hall event as, quote, emotional. No, you don't say. Let's see if we could find a little snippet. Trump lied about the 2020 election. He took no responsibility for the January 6th insurrection that those very lies incited. Literally fake news to call it an insurrection, and he's implying that Trump was responsible even though the FBI found no evidence of that. And he mocked E. Jean Carroll's allegations of assault, which a jury found him liable for on Tuesday. Oh no, the horror. And CNN aired it all. On and on it went. It felt like 2016 all over again. It was Trump's unhinged social media feed brought to life on stage. And Collins was put in an uncomfortable position given the town hall was conducted in front of a Republican audience that applauded Trump, giving a sense of unintended endorsement to his shameful antics. Oh, emotional, you say? No way. A little bit later in the article, he writes, how Chris Litch and other CNN executives address the criticism in the coming days and weeks will be crucial. Will they defend what transpired at St. Anselm College, or will they express some regret? Oliver Darcy leading the mutiny, leading the charge against CNN executives. How will they respond, he says? Well, Chris Litch responded in kind. According to multiple sources, Oliver Darcy was summoned to a meeting with Litch due to his coverage of the event. Litch reportedly took issue with the framing of supposed backlash against the network, particularly from liberals. Darcy appeared to agree with those sentiments and was critical of the network in his Reliable Sources newsletter, which was released after the town hall. It can't be based on emotion, it's got to be based on fact, Litch reportedly told Darcy, according to a report from Fox News citing sources familiar with Litch's thinking. The source told Fox that multiple CNN staffers were appalled by Darcy's newsletter, which prompted Litch to call the meeting. It's hard to see how America was served by the spectacle of lies aired on CNN Wednesday evening, wrote Darcy in the newsletter. He went on to complain that Trump told lies, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we just covered some of the excerpts. I'm asking you not to be emotional, the source paraphrased what Litch said to Darcy. Puck News was first to report on the meeting, which reportedly took place after Litch stood by the Trump town hall on CNN's Thursday morning editorial call. Darcy stood by his work and pushed back on the emotional characterization one source with knowledge of the meeting said. But afterwards, two sources who heard about the meeting described him as visibly shaken. Quote, they put the fear of God into him, one source said. Puck News journalist Dylan Byers reported on Friday. It's going to be a real uphill battle for Chris Litch. He's either dealing with massive, overgrown adult babies that he needs to put in their place one by one, or that's just kind of an act that people like Oliver Darcy play when really they know exactly what they're doing. They're doing the Democrats' bidding and then acting like babies whenever they get backlash. Donald Trump defended himself against a ridiculous allegation. Oh, the horror. Donald Trump has a differing opinion on a couple issues and won't take responsibility for a, quote, insurrection that never happened. I mean, get out of here. That's not journalism. And it's crazy that it's even an argument. Oliver Darcy, of course, Brian Stelter's old henchman, literally writes a newsletter for, quote, reliable sources Sources, a segment in writing that still exists at CNN without Brian Stelter at the helm. He's supposed to be a fact-based journalist and writes a segment, again, let's repeat it, called Reliable Sources. But when writing, it sounds like it's a personal diary. Oh, I was shocked and appalled by the Trump town hall. How could Donald Trump say these things? Nobody cares, man. You're literally like 40 years old with a full-grown beard, and you're writing a personal diary like a 12-year-old girl. Do journalism, because this ain't it. Chris Litch says, hey, maybe report the facts, maybe conduct real journalism and not this emotional crap, and Oliver Darcy tries to fight back. Supposedly at the end of the meeting, Oliver Darcy was shaken up or visibly shaken. They put the fear of God into him, and honestly, I hope that's the case, because Chris Litch has got to start dealing with these CNN fake news journalists with a little bit more intensity. You gotta get tough. I mean, they're literal adult babies. This will give you guys some more perspective. Here's a little segment from Joyanne Reed. She actually plays a recorded audio tape from Chris Litch.
I am aware that there has been people with opinions slash backlash, and that is absolutely expected. And I will say this as clearly as I possibly can. You do not have to like the former president's answers, but you can't say that we didn't get them. Caitlin pressed them again and again and made a lot of news. While we all may have been uncomfortable hearing people clapping, that was also an important part of the story, because the people in that audience represent a large swath of America. And the mistake the media made in the past is ignoring that those people exist.
He's talking to a group of adults, like actual adults, people who pay their own bills and live in modern society. And he's saying things like, while we may have all been uncomfortable hearing people clapping, that's also an important part of the story, because people in that audience represent a large swath of America. And the mistake the media made in the past is ignoring that those people exist. He's literally talking to a group of adults. Again, let's reiterate that. And starting his sentence off with, while I know it may have been uncomfortable to hear people clapping. I mean, trigger warning, people clapped at things that Donald Trump said. Oh no, the sheer horror. How will humanity ever recover? These are not serious human beings, yet they lead the mainstream discussion on these issues. These are people who literally cannot mentally cope with the fact that Donald Trump exists and the fact that people have differing political opinions. They cannot mentally accept or cope with the idea of a presidential candidate disagreeing with their narratives. And again, I don't know if Chris Litch is going to be able to change it. I mean, to even start off the sentence by validating this idea of being uncomfortable with hearing people clapping for things that you disagree with is so insane to me. It's so crazy. He's been tasked with rebranding the network. You're going to have to get a little serious here, and there's going to have to be a culture shift. It's also nice to see that some of the outrage directed at Oliver Darcy and his emotional nonsense isn't just coming from Chris Litch, but actually it was reported to him by people working at CNN. There needs to be a cultural shift from the inside, and the only way that happens is for actual journalists and people who are reporting on the truth, people who aren't injecting emotion and opinion into their reporting, start speaking up and start applying actual journalistic standards, not only to themselves, but to their environment and the employees that they work with, their colleagues rather. I give Chris Litch a little bit of credit, but at the same time, Oliver Darcy should be fired. Jake Tapper should be gone as well, Anderson Cooper. What they did after the town hall was inexcusable and should absolutely be a fireable offense when working at a network like CNN. If CNN is to be taken seriously as engaging in real journalism, their behavior should be absolutely inexcusable, unacceptable. They should be gone. Period. And until that's the standard, well, of course, we know it's never going to end. So we'll have to see where it goes. We'll have to see if Chris Litch ever ends up, what's the best way that I could say, what's the least offensive way that I could say this? We'll have to see if he actually grows a pair moving forward. Putting the fear of God into Oliver Darcy is a decent step one, but I'd like to see more. That's basically the whole point of the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Of course, we'd love to have you here, folks. Like usual, I want to thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.